Welcome back to another video. Finally, another video on Guilford County Republican Party politics. Needless to say, it's been a while. The last video I did on the Guilford County GOP was way back in June. There was a meeting in August. Unfortunately, I had some car troubles right on that same date. So you want to talk about bad luck? Yeah, I did get the minutes though, but I'm the kind of person that I'm very detail oriented, and I wish the minutes from the August meeting were a lot more detailed. Maybe get a written transcript word for word, or I'll tell you, one of my favorite shows from the 1990s, late 80s was 48 Hours. This was, the CBS News magazine. This was before they did the whole 48 hours, these hour-long mysteries. They actually did, investigative reporting that was not related to crime. But at the end of the episode, they always said, for a written transcript of tonight's program, send us $4.95 in a self-addressed stamped envelope to 48 Hours, Post Office Box, Bergen County, New Jersey, so-and-so, so-and-so. So yeah, wish we could do the same for the August meeting. Back at the August meeting, which I really did not want to miss, but my car had other ideas. And, I'm not the kind of person who's, hey, I need a ride to so-and-so, and, Uber's very expensive. But anyway, at the August meeting, a vote was taken on where the new headquarters would be. In other words, where the offices would be, and where, what place would we be having monthly, or as now in the David Gleason era, bi-monthly meetings, I should say, for the local Republican Party. There were two options on the table. Option one, which is the one that I wanted, was a location right off of Gates City Boulevard, just north of the I-73 Greensboro Urban Loop, down. If you don't know anything about Greensboro, this is in the southwest part of Greensboro, towards Adams Farm, Sedgefield Country Club. Very nice area, right on that line of the nice part of Greensboro and then the not so nice part of Greensboro, right around the Four Seasons Town Center area. I liked that because it was right off the freeway, and it had a lot of parking. It could hold quite a high number of people. Now, if I can maybe go back a little bit on this, we had a location. Okay, I came into the Guilford GOP. My first meeting was back in August of 2018. Okay. Unfortunately, at that meeting, it was found out that the party was getting a very good deal on this particular office space. They were paying $500 a month, which even for like renting an apartment, $500 is very good. In commercial real estate, that's awesome. Okay. But the shopping center where we were having the meetings was in the process of being sold to a developer in New Jersey. Now, the New Jersey person was actually a Republican, believe it or not. Okay, but they said that they're in business to make money, and they wanted to boost our rent from $500 to whatever the market rate was. Well, it turns out the market rate was going to be, at that time, like $1,250, $1,500 up to $2,000 a month. Okay. That turned out to be too expensive long term for us to stay, so we had to move. Fortunately, we were able to get some lawyers involved, some litigation, so forth. We were able to stay at that location through the end of February of 2019. Okay, but after that, our meetings April, May, June, and the August meeting were all in a hotel, the Hilton Garden Inn, right off of Wendover and I-40 in Greensboro, and a very, very good Chinese buffet right across the street from Hilton Garden Inn, too, by the way, I must say. If you're ever in the area, please stop by. But we went from paying like $500 a month down to $75 just to rent the room for like a 2-hour period or whatever. The problem was it was kind of cramped quarters, like 75 people could be in a room, while we were getting like 100 people, and it was pretty cramped. But that's the nature of that story. So there was a vote taken in August. Option 1 was we were going to have a venue like the one we were at before off of Gate City Boulevard and I-73. Option 2, which was the one that I did not like, was unfortunately the option that the party executive committee picked. It's at 5500 West Friendly Avenue. Okay, this is not near any major freeway corridor. It is right off of a 5-lane road where you have 2 lanes each way, and then you have a suicide lane or a center turn lane, one of those dangerous style roads. Speed limit's 35 miles an hour, but a lot of people go faster than that. But the office space was a lot newer. This was the old space we were at was probably built in the early 90s. This is probably no more than 10, maybe 15 years old, if that. The meeting room is set up like an L shape, and the person at the center of the L is where the speaker is, and you have people sit in one side of the L, and then there's people sit on the other side of the L. But it can hold up to 90. There were 95 chairs in that meeting room, and there were probably about 50 to 75 people there tonight. The one thing I don't like, obviously, I don't like the fact that it's on a 5-lane road, very dangerous, I think, and don't like the fact that the parking lot seems very small, and it can barely, if the party were to have a big event, there's no way we're going to be able to have enough parking, which is something that I wish the party would have brought into consideration considering the Friendly Avenue venue. Okay, so we start tonight's meeting off right at 7 p.m., right on time. We had a report from Vice Chair Chris, and he mentioned that the cost with the party signed a 3-year lease, so we're stuck at this place at 5500 West Friendly Avenue. And if you ever want to stop by and see the headquarters, it's pretty much open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. It's in the back of that building there, 5500 West Friendly. But it's a 3-year lease. We're paying $19.50 a month. Now that seems high, but it does include all utilities and taxes. But still, it's a far cry from the $500 deal we were getting down Gate City and I-73. But the thing that I think the reason why the majority of the executive committee picked the 5500 West Friendly location was because of traffic on West Friendly. There's a lot of traffic on West Friendly. A lot more visibility for the headquarters. The headquarters is not in a shopping center; it's in an office building. Okay, so the last location we were at was in a shopping center, and it sat back off the road by, I would say, a good 100 yards, if not more. It was kind of on a little bit of a hillside there at Gate City and 73. This was more of a there's a sign out on West Friendly, but then you drive down a little hill to where most of the parking lot is in the back of the building. Okay, so Chris also mentioned that the party's having a gun raffle. Need to sell 120 gun raffle tickets, and you can actually go online, go to the Guilford County Republican Party web page, and actually there's a link where you can buy a raffle ticket. The raffle will be held on I believe it's the second Saturday in December at 10 o'clock in the morning. The good thing is, if you cannot make the second Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning, you do not have to be present to win. The tickets are $30 a piece. You can buy 4 of them for $100. The first 2 prizes are guns. The third prize winner gets $250. Personally, I'd rather finish third and just get the money rather than, because I am look. Let me tell you something. You may think I'm a rhino when I say this, but look, I support the Second Amendment, okay? But I do not own a gun, and I had no intention of ever owning a gun. I am just not a gun person. I'm sorry, it's just not who I am, okay? I'm just not, I'm the kind of person that holding a gun makes me kind of nervous and squeamish, When I'm a bit of a Yankee when it comes to guns, I guess you could say. I'm certainly not a Southerner, and the thought of going to a range and shooting a gun really scares the crap out of me, to tell you the truth. And I have actually shot before, but no, it's not the kind of thing I like to do. So, and I just wish... I hate to take over these videos, my personal opinion, but I feel it's important, and it's my YouTube channel. I can say whatever the hell I want, okay? I support a Second Amendment, but I am not a fan of gun raffles. And Guilford County is the 3rd largest county in the state of North Carolina, has the 3rd largest city in the state of North Carolina. We are a very urban county. Okay, we are a left-leaning county. The Democrats usually win the Democrats usually win this county in presidential election years by a good 10 to 15 points. This gun raffle makes us appear to be a rural, southern, gun-crazy county. This is the kind of thing that would work in a rural, in a severely rural redneck county. It's the kind of thing that I do not think would work in an urban county like Guilford. I'm not a fan of gun raffles in urban counties. I think it sends the wrong message, because you have a lot of moderate voters in these urban areas, and one election they'll swing Republican, another election they'll swing Democrat. They'll go back and forth. But this gun thing will make them swing, a lot of them, to the left, I'm afraid, when they see that we're putting out this gun raffle kind of thing, in my opinion. But again, if you want to buy a ticket and support the party, please do. I'm not going to be an obstructionist on the issue, but I will tell you that I am not a fan of gun raffles. I am not, okay? I wish, we could do a 50-50 raffle where half the money you get, half the money the party gets, Okay. Let's see. Alyssa Batts, the second vice chair, is charged social media. Talked about that going to the Facebook page has all the events coming up, as well as the link for the gun raffle on the website, and activist training as well for precinct chairs. Third vice chair Paul Daniels, in charge of precincts. He wanted to note that all municipalities in Guilford County, except for Archdale and Greensboro, have municipal elections next month. And early voting for those municipal elections actually begins on Wednesday, the day after tomorrow. So if you have any free time and want to help our friends in High Point, Oak Ridge, Summerfield, Pleasant Garden, I might have left off a couple other municipalities, please forgive me. If you have any free time, you need something to do, and please volunteer, okay? On October 26th, it should be noted that from 10 until 2 on that Saturday, we're going to have a phone bank and get out the vote and help in those municipal elections as well. So if you're the kind of person who does not want to work the polls, I can understand. You're more of a phone banker, then please join us on October 26th at our new headquarters, 5500 West Friendly Avenue. Okay. Also, should we know that office volunteers are needed Tuesday through Friday, sometime between 9 and 5. Mondays are actually, the office is full with volunteers already. And also, a volunteer coordinator is needed. Right now, Kathy Gleason, who was the wife of Chairman David Gleason, is doing the volunteer coordinator, but Kathy has a lot of other things to do, and she really wants somebody to step up to the plate. The volunteer coordinator is going to be in charge of, obviously, coordinating volunteers, scheduling volunteers for the office. Also working at the headquarters, answering phones, a lot of throwing out old files as well is what they're doing right now. The headquarters has full phone, wireless internet is all set, ready, running good. Security system, they have cameras all around. They even have chimes on the entryway when you come into the office too. And the main thing is that 2 people are always going to be at the GOP office. Okay. That's a big thing the party really wants to have for security reasons, so nobody's ever by themselves, gets into a bad predicament. Okay, next we had Victor, who's running for another term on High Point City Council. A good young conservative candidate, I will say. He says, look, when you're working the polls in these municipal elections, it's very important to focus on the candidates and not say, well, so-and-so, I'm supporting so-and-so because they're a good Republican. Talk about, I'm supporting them because, hey, their High Point is growing by leaps and bounds, and we need to have the same mayor in place because we're growing right now, and we need to keep the growth, keep the growth up. Okay, now resolutions. Believe it or not, we had a resolution passed at this meeting. It is not something that happens too often at a county GOP meeting. These resolutions are something that takes place more during the spring convention season at your county, district, and state meeting. Excuse me. Tonight's resolution, and I will read it in its entirety because it's very good, not too long. It's a resolution in support of President Donald J. Trump and his historic record of achievements on behalf of African Americans. Whereas the character and record of Donald J. Trump has been subjected to unprecedented, unfair, and false attack. And whereas in 1986, when I was born, by the way, that wasn't in there, but I just put, little plug. In 1986, then New York City real estate developer Donald J. Trump was honored alongside Rosa Parks and Muhammad Ali by the Ellis Island Society, a non-political group that promotes understanding and diversity among various religious and ethnic groups. And whereas under the economic policies of President Trump, unemployment among African Americans, women and men, I should say, has reached the lowest levels, 5.5%, since such records have been kept. This is according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics since 1972. And whereas President Trump's determined support of prison reform and the First Step Back has most greatly benefited those unduly penalized, such as many African Americans. And whereas in support of historically black colleges and universities, President Trump has increased their funding faster than any previous president. And whereas in support of all people of faith, President Trump in 2017 suspended gag orders on the church and religious organizations, including many historically black colleges and universities that threaten their tax-exempt status. Should note that there's an asterisk point by this. It should say the Supreme Court in 2018 made a similarly significant decision concerning religious freedom of speech in the decision of Masterpiece Cake Shop versus the Colorado Human Rights Commission. Whereas under President Trump, vocational and technical educational programs most heavily utilized by minorities, have received over $1.2 billion in new funding, and whereas President Trump has distinguished himself as the most pro-life president in recent history, thereby protecting the lives of African American babies who have been disproportionately targeted for termination, and whereas the Trump administration employs comparable numbers of African Americans in his administration to that of the previous president, an African American himself. And whereas President Trump has often stood alone since 2016 in fighting the smears trying to leak into Russia, it is of note that such Russian activity has been targeted at the African American community to desensitize them to a non-constitutional socialist agenda. And whereas in August of 2019, the New York Times was caught on audio recording overly conspiring in the wake of the false and failed so-called Russian collusion lie, which sought to slow and undermine President Trump's positive American recovery and advancement agenda for over 3 years. And whereas the New York Times on said audio recording was exposed in their attempt to pivot to a fictional Trump as a racist narrative, using the 400th anniversary of the arrival of slavery from Africa and Europe to America in 1619 as their phony narrative basis. And whereas, nevertheless, recent national polling reflects a significant increase of support for President Trump by African Americans. Now, therefore, be it resolved this 14th day of October 2019 that the Guilford County Republican Party is proud to commend and recognize that as much, if not more so, than any other president before him, President Donald J. Trump has distinguished himself as a supporter and a friend to African Americans. Now, after this, we had some amendments. One was there was a typo of Muhammad, as in Muhammad Ali. A couple grammatical errors, and instead of 400th anniversary was changed to the 400th commemoration, because anniversary means something positive, whereas this was the 400th anniversary of the arrival of slavery. Does that sound something like positive? No, it doesn't. So it should be commemoration instead, is what the change was. And the final paragraph, as much, if not more so, than any other president before him since Abraham Lincoln, was added. President Donald Trump has distinguished himself as a friend and supporter to African Americans. Then this amendment passed unanimously, 100% for a resolution in support of President Donald Trump and his historic record of achievements on behalf of African Americans. Very good work. Very good work. Okay. Now, and by the way, did I mention Tina Forsberg was the point person on this resolution? She did a very good job. She also consulted with Dr. Ada Fisher, African American, and a doctor, and the current RNC committee woman for North Carolina, as well as Clarence Henderson. If you don't know who Clarence Henderson is, go ahead and Google the Woolsworth sit-in of 1962 that took place right here in Greensboro. At the Woolsworth in downtown Greensboro is now the International Civil Rights Center. And I have not been there yet. I need to go. I think it's like $12 or $15 to get in, so I'm, waiting for the right time, but I'm going to get there hopefully within the next year or two, I promise. Okay, now announcements time. Okay. Tomorrow, unfortunately, I'm not going to make it, but the YR, the Young Republicans of Guilford County, are having their meeting 7 p.m. tomorrow night at the headquarters at 5500 West Friendly. Okay. Wednesday night, I will be able to make. This will be a precinct organizational meeting at 7 p.m. also at the new headquarters. On November 21st, we're going to have a candidate forum. Chairman Gleason said that, we want this event to be about an hour and a half. We're not going to have every candidate run for state office. He wants to break it up into two and have another one in January. Hopefully we'll be able to hear from all the candidates within those two events, because there are so many candidates running for lieutenant governor, secretary of state, all these other offices. It's like mind-blowing, folks. On, let's see, coffee, tea, and GOP, that's going to start up every month starting in January. They're going to be somewhere around the county at a various restaurant. That's something I'm going to try to go to at least one of them, but I'm not really. It's one of those things that, like, oh my gosh, I got to go to this, because this is more of like a social event. It's not a meeting. And I'm more into meetings because I'm an introvert. I'm not a big fan of, talking, except on here. Let's see, what else is on the agenda? January 11th is going to be a training session with the NCGOP. Okay. Don't know anything else about it, and David Gleason even said he didn't know anything else about it too. Which is Saturday, January 11th. There's going to be some kind of training session with the GOP, the state party. Let's see, what else do I have on here? Okay. January 29th, a Wednesday. The Greater Greensboro Women's Club is going to put on a Lieutenant Governor Forum at Asian Bistro. Let's see. What else do we have? February 22nd is going to be the county precinct meeting. Okay. As of right now, that's going to be at headquarters, but that could change depending on, how things go. Might have so many people start coming to these meetings, we might have to, go somewhere else. March 7th, Saturday, is going to be the county convention. It's going to be down at Guilford Technical Community College in Jamestown at the Sears building. Same venue as last year, and I think that's a great thing. It's a good venue down there at the Sears building. No, not Sears Department Store. It's the Sears Applied Science and Technology building. It's a very comfortable auditorium, I will say. Okay. What else do I have? March 8th, Sunday, the same weekend. Here we go again with these political events. They all got to be right on the same week or the same weekend, which can be a problem for people like moi who work in retail, March 8th, a Sunday, is going to be the Lynette Lincoln Reagan Day dinner. It's going to be at Sedgefield Country Club. Right now, there's a committee within the party of about 7 to 8 people who are 7 to 8 or 9 people who are trying to find a national speaker for that. Let's see here. And David Gleason said that 53 people attended the state GOP convention last year. For 2020, he has a goal of 100 delegates to attend. Please note the convention will be in Greenville this year, which is like 2.5 hours away from Greensboro. The convention this past June was just a little over an hour, like an hour and 10 minutes from Greensboro in Concord. That will also be, I believe, the third weekend in May. Okay. It will not be in June like it usually is, because in presidential election years, the state convention is always pushed up by about 3 weeks. That way the RNC has enough time to do their work as far as assigning delegates and committees to the national convention, which will be the last week of August in Charlotte. And I don't think I'm going to be able to go as delegate, but I do want to at least be a volunteer, stay the whole time, and attend the Rules Committee meeting. That's like my most favorite thing to do at that event. And I believe that's it. The Young Republicans in North Carolina is having a committee meeting, like an all-day meeting. I believe that will be on the Saturday the 16th, I believe, is the date on that. Okay. Well, anyway, we adjourned the meeting at 8:05 p.m. I do not know when the next official meeting will be. When I do, I'll let y'all know. Also, I'm trying to do the video to wrap up the convention in June. It's October 14th. My goal was to try to have this done by the end of the month, okay? And hopefully by the end of the year I'll have all the county conventions that I did, videos of that done. But again, it's hard. Hours at work. Some weeks I work 35 hours, other weeks I work 25 hours. And then, of course, I take college classes on the side too, because I don't want to work in retail the rest of my life. I'd like to at least have an office job. I mean, dream job for me. I'd really like to work for the State Department of Transportation as a communications officer or, spokesperson. Or I'd like to have my own, talk like this and get paid for it. That'd be pretty awesome on the radio or TV or YouTube or whatever. Anyway, for the Conservative Pelican, I am Bobby Crawford. Have a great night. Thanks for watching.